Today's video, we're going to talk about the Google Ads bid simulator and can you actually trust it? There's a much better way to identify if you raise your bids or raise your CPA targets or raise your ROAS targets or conversely lower them as to what impact that's going to have on your clicks, leads, and sales. Okay? The short of this is the bid simulator is basically completely useless. It's there to try to get you to spend more money on a progressive basis, and if they can make it look better than it is to give you some hope, false hope, to get you to spend more money, of course they want to do that, but in short, the information is just not reliable. It'd be one thing if they could try to get more money from you and they told you about what the numbers would be in terms of if you raise your cost per click, you know, how many more clicks you would get, but the system isn't even accurate. And so that's the main problem with Google Bid Simulator. There's a much better way to know if you raise your bids what you can get out of it or lower it, like I said, of which I'll tell you about in this video. In short, it has to do with search impression share, not the bid simulator, to identify if you are going to double your cost per click or bids, should I say double your bids, how much that's going to affect your clicks and leads. If you're going to triple it, what's that's going to do to your clicks and leads, and so on and so forth. So I'll tell you exactly what I do to identify if we can get more out of our market, and if we're not getting the cost per lead that we want or ROI that we want, how to reduce the cost per click as well and hit our target there in that case, so that our ads that we are running for a particular set of keywords or a campaign, so that we can make it profitable and keep going with it. So with that said, getting into the content here, the short explanation to Bid Simulator and whether or not it's accurate is it does not just a bad but horrible job estimating how many clicks or additional sales or conversions you're going to get, or you know, how many less, of course, if you're planning on going downwards in your bid. Either what it tells you is either way under, usually under by the way, or way over what they estimate. So what I do, because this is not reliable, it would be nice and useful, very, very nice and useful if Google was able to put something together that would accurately tell you if you raise your bids, what that would do to your clicks and to your leads. But it doesn't. So what I'll do is I'll use the search impression share to see what happens if I were to raise my bids, and if I should say if I raise my bids, am I going to get a respectable amount more leads, if you will, and you know, and if I reduce my bids, you know, what that could ultimately might do to what's my stuff. Respectively going downwards in bids, that's all pretty straightforward, because if I'm not getting the ROI that I want, and I know my ROI is 500% and I need 600% ROI, I'm just gonna, that's a 20% gap there, I'm just gonna reduce my bids by 20% and I'm gonna have the ROI I want. Where things get complicated is to know when I want to raise my bids, is that going to get me more conversions? If so, how many more? And therefore, is it worth it to raise my bids on my CPC bids if I'm talking about manual bidding, and target CPA and target ROAS if I'm talking about smart bidding? And so what you want to do, okay, is first of all, if you go ahead and you look at your search terms report, and you see in your search terms report what you're bidding on as far as keywords has pretty much what you would want to show up for. It's related to those keywords. And that's all you see, you're already set up. But if you're not, you want to focus on first, before you even try to raise your bids and get more out of the keywords that you are bidding on, add more negative keywords so that the search terms report is clean. It pretty much, therefore, has your ad, Google only has your ad showing up if you want it to show up, and it's showing up for people that actually can buy your product or service ultimately. Why is this? Because if you raise your bids before you have done this, it'll be a very unpredictable result. Maybe if you double your bids, you'll get twice as many leads. Maybe you raise your bids by 2x, and you get twice as many leads, but the leads are all shitty leads. Or you double your bids and you get 20% more leads, because mainly what you showed up for was more of the shit that you do not want to show up for in terms of the search phrase. So if you're going to raise your bids, you can do so predictably and get a predictable amount of increase in leads and sales and profit if you add enough negative keywords so that the search terms report shows pretty much what it should show up for. And then at that point, this is where the search impression share comes in. Because ultimately, if you look at the search impression share and you, under where your chart is, pull in search impression share, you'll see if your search impression share, is it going up, is it down? Like basically, where is the average? You want to go like the last 30 days, and if it shows your search impression share is like, let's say 30%, which to clarify, if you don't know what search impression share is, it's basically how often your ad's eligible to show for the keywords that you're bidding on, right? Or what it's closely related to the keyword, right? And with that said, if you're at 30% impression share, and if you wanted to go from 30% impression share to 90% impression share to get 3 times as many sales, you're probably going to have to triple your cost per click. And you'll probably get 1/3 of the ROI, but you'll get 3 times as many sales. So it all depends on, is the ROI, can the ROI go down or not? So usually this is where it comes in handy to know your numbers. You want to know what is the maximum cost per conversion that you can pay for where you're profitable. You look at your closing rates on your leads, your lifetime value on a lead, and that kind of thing. And what's the maximum you could pay for a lead, so that out the other side you have the ROI that you find acceptable at your business. And you might find that $40 a lead is acceptable, and anything under $40 a lead is just gravy. Well, if you find out your cost per lead is $25, and then your impression share is at 30%, it would only make sense to raise your cost per click, right? Or raise your target CPA so that you start getting shown a higher percentage of the time in terms of impression share. Because by the way, if you take, a lot of people don't know this, but in terms of like that target CPA setting, that's like a lever. If you raise the target CPA setting, even though you're getting under a $40 cost per CPA, let's say if you had your target CPA set at $40, because that's what you need, right? You're currently getting a $25 cost per CPA. If you raise that target CPA from 40 to 60, probably what's going to happen to your target cost per conversion is now it's going to go up 50% as well. So it's probably going to go up to $35 cost per conversion. Now you're still under your $40 cost per conversion you actually need, and your impression share as a result of that went from whatever it was, like if it was at 30, it's now 45% impression share. So you're ultimately paying more per lead, but you're getting a lot more sales at the same time. You're paying 50% more lead per lead that you had before, but you're now getting 50% more conversions. And so you may be saying, well, it doesn't really make sense to pay more per lead just to get more leads and to get more sales. There's some math that you're certainly going to have to do to find out. You could run, and this is where high school algebra comes into play here, where you got to figure out if you were to do 10 sales at half the ROI versus 5 sales at the full ROI, which one of these scenarios here end up making you the most profit. And if you want to get some help understanding, in fact, I should make a video just specifically about this, about how to identify what's the theory, if you can already get a cost per lead better than what you need to have at minimum to make money. How much more sales do you need to get at a higher ROI to justify the higher at a higher cost per lead to justify paying that higher cost per lead. So, but you get the general idea. once the search, in summary here, once the search terms report that you have is clean, you're basically only showing up for the stuff you show up for, and then you look at where you're at the last 30 days in terms of your search impression share. If you want to double your search impression share, you're going to be basically paying double the cost per click, or double the cost per lead, or you'll be getting half the ROAS as a result of that. And so it's like what percent of the time you want to show up. You want to go and show up 90% of the time instead of 30% of the time, you're going to have to pay not double, but 3 times the cost per click. And as a result, your cost per lead is going to be triple. Your ROAS is going to be 1/3 of what you started with. So you have to run that math to figure out if that's worth it for you or not. Another thing I just wanted to cover here. Once you get to 90% impression share, by the way, there's really not much of an advantage going higher than that. You'll have greatly diminishing returns trying to raise your bids to get 100% impression share. That's basically a fool's game. If you're over 90% already, you're good. And yes, you could get 100% impression share by raising your bids, but you'll have to raise it so much for such a marginal increase in clicks and conversions that it's just simply not, it's never going to pencil out for you to do that. Now, you definitely want to get to 90%. So, because you'll get, obviously a lot more leads and a lot more sales if you're only at 30, 40, 50% right now. You'll still have to run that math and see for yourself if is doubling the cost per lead, even though that cost per lead I know would be profitable to us still, is it worth it to get twice as many sales, if you will? Will I take that or won't I take that? It all comes down to your profit margins in your business and and that kind of thing. So the bid simulator, in summary, is not a great tool for figuring out if you raise your bids or raise your CPA targets or lower your ROAS targets to know what that will do for your business to get you more clicks and how many more sales you would get, how much more profit you would get ultimately at the end of the day. So search impression share is assuming your search terms report is clean, because it's all pretty much directly proportional. If you're at 30% to get to 60%, your cost per lead will double to get from 30 to 60. And you'll have to, basically take your CPA target and double that in order to get from 30 to 60, or cut your ROAS that you're willing to have your target ROAS set at in half in order to get from 30 to 60 in that scenario. So, if bid simulator is unreliable, if you want to raise your bids here and assuming let's say you didn't have the search terms report, it's not clean, and you don't want to go through the trouble right now of adding enough negative keywords so it is clean, so you can use this search impression share method to see if you raise your bids, how much more business that's going to bring in. You could go ahead and just raise your bids anyway, and you'll just have to wait and see what happens. Just know when you raise your bids, Google's going to have to, their algorithm that drives the ads is going to have to go through a learning process to figure out, basically the right placement, because there's so many different variables there. It was showing up for this and this and this. And what they're trying to do is get you, particularly if you're smart bidding, try to get you more sales. And because you're going to be eligible, you're going to win more ad actions, you're going to be eligible to show up more. But it doesn't know how to get you more sales until it starts showing you more places. Before you raised your bids, it just knew that it could only show you so many times, because that's all you were eligible for. Now it shows you're now showing up in extra places, and then those new places, Google's going to have to do some testing on their end to figure out which of those new places are worth it for you as the advertiser to show up for and which are not, i.e. which ones get conversions, which ones don't. And then weeding out a part of that raising the bids got you to show up for in addition to what you were showing up for already. Even if you're not using smart bidding and you're just using enhanced CPC bidding, in and itself there, it's the same thing. They're going to go through some trial and error to figure out, should you show up out of the new stuff, should it stay showing up for this, this, and this, or just this? And they're going to look at your conversion data. They're going to look at your click-through rate data. And if your click-through rates are too low for those new placements, it'll stop showing because they don't want to show ads to people where they're not relevant, because people will not want to click ads in the future or just start ignoring them more, and so forth. So if you raise the bids and just don't go by with what happens to your leads right away, whether raising those bids was worth it for you or not. You want to wait, 30 days and then look at the last 30 days and see what happens. And even then, that's not that good of a tell. 90 days would be a lot better tell, but at least after 30 days, you can see if it is you're at least going in the right direction. But certainly after 2 or 3 days after raising the bids is not enough time to know at all, really, whether raising the bids is worth it for you, and is it going to drive enough conversions to justify the additional cost per click that you're going to have to pay now to show up more for those same keywords. So with that said, that's as much as I can basically tell you about the bid simulator, what your alternatives are, and if you and basically that it's not reliable, what you should do in exchange. If you like the video, by the way, I'd appreciate it if you would give it a like and consider subscribing to this channel, as I have a ton of other content on this channel that'll teach you how to make millions of dollars with ads, given that we're using it on our clients' campaigns to do just that. I'm not a YouTuber or a course seller. I'm giving you stuff that I'm using on a daily basis to do the ad strategy for our clients, and we manage a lot of accounts here. So it's real information. If you like the channel, by the way, you can also find my blog at guaranteeppc.com/blog, as well as you can find my column that I have at entrepreneur.com as well if you like my work. If you have any questions about anything I covered here, leave me a comment below. I get back to every single person who leaves me a comment on this channel, usually within a couple days' time. You can ask me any ad-related question you'd like, and I'd be happy to try to answer it for you, just as a way of giving back for watching my channel. Beyond that, if you are looking for an ad manager, this is exactly what I do, and I guarantee results for our clients at the beginning of the relationship, in that we can simply work on your account and agree to not take any fees until we raise your sales a certain minimum amount, more than they are already, that you have already from your ads, without raising your ad spend. That's our typical engagement we have with our clients, starting out as a way to prove to them that we have excellent results that we can get for you at our firm. If you're interested in that, you can reach out to me at guaranteeppc.com, and I'd be happy to look over your stuff and see if we can work together in that kind of manner. As long as you have something good that we know we can get results in and on, be happy to work together on that kind of work engagement. Beyond that, if you are not looking for an ad agency or a manager, however, want to shortcut your way to success, we sell ad templates here as well. In that, if we've worked in your market before, you could simply take what we've used in your market in a different geographic area and copy and paste what we've had in that market that was successful into your ad accounts. We sell the ad templates, the landing page templates, the campaign templates, and you basically have copy-paste results into your ad account, of which we could tell you what results you'd get with it, because we're getting those same results in that market as well. And so if you're interested in that, you can also reach out to me at my firm at guaranteeppc.com. These templates are so successful, we got people using them for other side businesses. If you're going to start another business, start with the winning ad templates we have. I mean, it's the easiest possible. It's like starting a business on easy mode. But I'm just mentioning that mainly because that shows how successful these templates are. So anyway, if you're interested in that, you can also reach out. As a last couple of things, if you are looking to work with a great ad agency but don't quite have the fees you think to afford an ad agency right now, or don't want to pay, we're looking for volunteers that we can work on your ad account for free, in exchange of sharing what we learn about your account on this channel. And basically just to demonstrate the stuff that we want to teach here as it's applied to an account like yours, what results it delivers, and prove that and show real examples of that on this channel, because people want to see it. So if you would like to exchange, a case study for free services that we offer at our firm, we're more than happy to talk to you about that. You can reach out to my same agency at guaranteeppc.com if you're interested in that. And then finally, if you are looking to pay an agency like on a monthly basis, like agencies usually charge, we also work with clients with a business partnership arrangement where we'll take a certain percentage of the increase in sales at your company as our sole payment source. In that, You partner with us long term, we'll take 1 to 10% of your sales growth and we'll do all your PPC. We do that with several companies now. We're looking to work with more on those, with that kind of work arrangement. In that, it makes us the most money, frankly. So we're looking to work only with companies like that in the future. If you want to see if we can work together in that kind of capacity, you can also reach out to me at our firm at guaranteedppc.com as well. But with that said, I'll wrap it up with that. I'd appreciate it if you would give the video a like on the way out, and I'll see you on the next one. See you later.